The 2022 variant of Shout is a film for watchers raised on the 1996 rendition of Shout and its 3 spin-offs. Though the principal script by Kevin Williamson turned the sort of discussions that fans had about John Woodworker and Wes Fearful in school cafeterias and cafes into something trying and arresting, the new content by James Vanderbilt and fellow Busick exists in our current reality where those discussions occur on a lot bigger scope in Strife Talks, Reddit strings, and fan shows. It's a thriller for a world wherein everybody has an assessment on blood and gore movies. Fortunately, it keenly balances references to the first films in a manner that, for the most part, evades the mindful pomposity that has killed numerous a recall, conveying an item that feels predictable with the initial 4 motion pictures yet unmistakable enough to have its own voice. A portion of Fearful's craftsmanship and expertise with entertainers is inadequate with regards to here, yet when the film is ascending to the rafters in its crazy last venture, I don't consider any the genuine frightfulness fans in the crowd will mind. Obviously, Shout opens with a call, and, indeed, it's as yet a landline by and by, a young lady home alone is compelled to play film random data with a maniac, yet how this Shout will refresh the first is evident right on time as Tara Woodworker, Jenna Ortega, says her #1 blood and gore movie isn't a slasher exemplary yet unraised frightfulness film like The Babadook. How we characterize the repulsiveness classification has changed fundamentally over the most recent 25 years, as has the connection between producers, watchers, and even genuine story topic that makers dig for idealist diversion. The characters in the new Shout don't only all have similar sort film information on the first's Randy Meeks, they would obliterate him in a random data challenge. Tara is gone after by somebody wearing the ghost face outfit from the in-universe Wound establishment, in view of the Woodsboro murders carried out by Stu Mache and Billy Loomis, yet she makes do, bringing her alienated sister Sam, Melissa Barrera, back from Modesto to their old neighborhood. Similar as Sidney Prescott, Neve Campbell, from the first, Sam has some dim family show that drove her away from her sister behind, yet it seems like this new executioner went after Tara to get the large sister to return home. She brings her new playmate Richie, Jack Quaid of The Young Men, in the interest of personal entertainment, despite the fact that he's rarely seen a Wound film. Coincidentally, they've made 8 Wound motion pictures and the last one was especially despised by the fan base for purportedly deceiving what worked about the establishment in any case. Obviously, Rian Johnson coordinated. Before Tara could in fact escape the clinic, Ghostface is out of control, driving Sam and Richie to the one who they think can assist them with sorting out who's behind the cover this time. Delegate Dewey, an exceptionally viable David Arquette, given more sensational beats than expected. "I trust it prompts more work like it," he calls Sid and texts Hurricane, Courtney Cox, and the widely popular threesome is back in the area in practically no time. However, Chiefs Matt Bettine, Ethel Alpin and Tyler Gillett astutely don't allow them to assume control over the story. They're seasoning a sign of approval for the past rather than the entire feast like in some other recall. Think about them like the heritage characters in the Star Wars spin-offs, fundamental yet not driving the story. No, the spotlight here is again on a gathering of youngsters who have sufficiently seen Wound films to realize that the executioner is presumably one of their own. It doesn't help that nearly everybody around has an association with the first characters. Ask the Strodes how well that normally. And afterward there's Golden, Mikey Madison, the person who appears to be generally defensive of Tara and doubting of Sam. Concerning Samantha, she has such a cozy relationship to one of the first characters that she fantasizes discussions with him that have some dodgy CGI that make them less viable than they likely were on paper. One of these youngsters is presumably an executioner. Given the history of this series, presumably more than one. The main thing to the outcome of this Shout is how Bettine, Ethel Alpin and Gillett work to their really successful set pieces. One in a dimly lit clinic has the fierce energy of John Woodworker and the lengthy party grouping/peak, It generally finishes at a party, is brilliantly built, shot with liquid camera work by Brett Jutkiewicz and firmly altered by Michael Lawley. Brian Tyler's score raises the fierce viciousness in death successions that don't feel as relaxed or facetious as a ton of nostalgic frightfulness will in general feel. Such countless motion pictures like Shout wink at their crowd and neglect to be somewhat frightening. The new Shout attempts to be a genuine blood and gore flick rather than only a meta-reference to the class. While this may not be a fair game to play, it's unthinkable not to consider how the film would have varied on the off chance that Faint-Hearted had lived to make it himself. I truly do believe that he would have drawn a couple of better exhibitions from the youthful cast, who are sufficient yet not even close as particularly essential as the first team, in some cases inclining toward sensational feelings such that Timid would have dialed down. Then again, the first threesome are superb, passing the injury of having on to go through this babble again such that feels real. Furthermore, the main thing is the amount Betty Neathly Alpin and Gillett have gained from the fearful firsts with regards to make. Though cowardly utilized visual references to aces like Hitchcock and Woodworker, the new movie producers have Wes himself to use as a good example, and they irrefutably get to the center of a ton of what he excelled at in both specialty and kind deconstruction. All things considered, there's an explanation the film's commitment peruses for Wes, and a scene close to the end even purposes the expression passing the light. I don't know about the last option yet. I'm certain that Wes would be sufficiently dazzled to think about it.
Hope you must like our video and subscribe our YouTube channel World Movies to get more new movies and its reviews. Thanks, bye.